it is truly an honor to be here today to be able to partner with Together Colorado. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jennifer Bacon. I represent House District 7, which is Northeast Denver from Monaco all the way east towards the airport. And I start with that because part of the privilege that I have in bringing this work is on behalf of my very own constituent, Sharon Battle. Her son is not only a constituent, but I also have the privilege of serving on our Denver Public School Board. So it's one of our students and therefore my family. I think what is really important about this bill is that we get to put on the table and articulate what bias actually looks like in action, and also what is the impact on families. You know, the truth of the matter is the criminal justice system is a very sticky place. Once you're introduced to it, it is very hard to get out. But also it is a place and space that marks someone for the rest of their lives. Not only does someone have to figure out their finances to be able to fight for their innocence, but once you are arrested, you have to tell everybody about it or tell people in job applications, housing applications, scholarships. And so every time we talk about communities of color being disenfranchised or being oppressed in all of these other areas like housing, education, access to healthcare, we have to be critical of the criminal justice system and what we are doing to funnel people into it so it keeps people out of so many other spaces. And so this bill really is brought to really end that cycle, to qualify a show-up identification that it is necessary is critical. The way that they have been done before has been loaded with bias and therefore unfairly putting so many more people, particularly people of color, where we know there are issues around identification with witnesses across multi-ethnic lines. We are funneling them into the criminal justice system. And so for me as a legislator, we were sent here not just to make laws, but to undo things that have been keeping people in their place. And so for me, this is an incredible privilege and honor to dismantle that kind of practice. I do want to give a shout out to Together Colorado, because given the amount of work that they have done to bring this bill, not only to myself, but to my colleagues, I'm pretty sure Sharon Battle probably has earned a law degree over this amount of time and work that she has done. And so I'd welcome her into my fictional law practice. You know more than I do. But I just want to call out some numbers. Together Colorado met with 55 of the 61 Democratic legislators. It met with 49 stakeholder groups, including police chiefs, district attorneys, public defenders, victims advocates, to be able to spread this news. And for someone, myself, I'm a former teacher, you know, we've been talking to young people about civics, not enough probably, but you know, we all know the song, I'm just a bill here on Capitol Hill. This group functionally lived out the promise of true civics in action. And I'm saying this so that my colleagues who are listening and all of our communities who are listening, the passage of this bill is so deeply deserved because you put in the work, and you put in the work on something that is very real and a lived experience. And if we can't pass a bill when our stakeholders come together to identify the issues that have deeply impacted them, and we as legislators cannot receive that and be able to create different outcomes for our own community, then I really fear for our democratic processes. So the passage of this bill is rightly owed and deserved, if not for the people who put their blood, sweat, and tears in it. They have done everything to be sure we can be collaborative in this process. In this day and age, after the events of last summer, it is incredibly important that we begin to work together. And so the example of Together working with Denver Police Department is also something to put a spotlight on. So again, thank you. It is an honor of mine to be able to sponsor on the House side. And now I'd like to introduce our Senate sponsor, Senator Julie Gonzales.
Thank you so much, Representative Bacon, and thank you to everyone who has engaged in this effort through Together Colorado and through all of the stakeholder work that has been done, because this is actually what co-governance looks like. My name is Julie Gonzales, and I have the honor and privilege of representing North, West, and Downtown Denver in the Colorado State Senate. And I've worked alongside, long before I was a legislator, I worked alongside Together Colorado as an organizer, fighting for justice outside of the Capitol. And now to be able to do this work from this position is just such an honor and a privilege. You know, what is interesting about Senate District 34, my community, is that it is really one of the haves and have-nots. You know, some of, downtown Denver, some of the most, the center of the capital of the state of Colorado. And yet my Senate district, my community also contains some of the census tracts that have the lowest income census tracts in the state, right next to each other. And so, and that inequality is exacerbated in moments of crisis. And I know firsthand that my communities here in Denver and communities across this state, communities of color, low-income communities, are often over-policed and yet under-resourced. And that status quo is not working in my community, and it's not working in too many communities across this state. And so as a legislator, my work is really, I see my work as making our criminal legal system more just, removing bias, and that is the work for so many of us engaged in this effort. We've abolished the death penalty. We've encouraged the Department of Corrections to expand parole. We've prohibited ICE from conducting unconstitutional arrests in our courthouses. And I'm so proud to be working alongside Representative Bacon and you all today, because it is a continuation of that work to make our systems more just. And it fits this policy, HB 1142, specifically around show up practices, is just part of a larger effort in our state and across this country to advance justice and fairness, and to hopefully lead to less bias and fewer people getting caught up in the incarceration machine. And so I do want to just say that the way that we engage, that we as community engage with law enforcement, the way in which our communities have trust, and the way in which we ensure that that we extract bias from those encounters, that is at the heart of what this legislation is about. And I want to just reaffirm that this is part of community showing up to law enforcement. This is part of community saying, hey, listen, this is these practices have created harm in our community, and let's move forward and work to transform those policies at the local level, at the state level, and they're also part of the national effort.